Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe Jim Movie So Awesome. I'm Joe.
I'm Won-Jin.
Today we are going to talk about Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer, his latest.
Yes, this year's most anticipated movie.
Spoilers ahead, full spoilers. If you have not watched the movie, please come back after you watch it. Here we go.
Okay.
I mean, let me go first. This is by far I feel like the darkest Nolan movie I ever watched.
Really?
I felt so.
Because, well, I mean, we had Memento. If
No,
you
but
think
like,
about it, I thought that was pretty dark.
Here's the thing. Like Prestige, Memento.
Oh, yeah, Prestige. We also have Prestige.
Inception. You know, all of his story have some tragic element, but there's always a little bit of hope. What I mean by that is Memento is that character gets to fantasize, live with a lie that is happy with it, and Inception that's open to question, right? And even in Prestige, you know, like Hugh Jackman gets his comeuppance, and there is a sense of justice. You know, but I didn't feel any of that in this one. I felt like the end when Einstein and Oppenheimer are talking. It just you know, just like Oppenheimer's real life line, you know, I have become death, right? Not only that, I also get this sense that you know, Oppenheimer in this film, at least as he is portrayed, is a tragic hero because, you know, he saved the world by ensuring that it could be destroyed again. You know, so there is that element to it. And I felt the mood was also a little bit dark. I mean, there were humorous moments, don't get me wrong. But, you know, because there's also the betrayal at the end. You know, because Einstein's line is very poignant. It's really about life, too, because, you know, your friends betray you. Well, at least, I don't know about friends, but your colleagues. And, you know, you have to shake their hand. And one of the hidden gems, I mean, first of all, the cast is like, what the hell? Like, even the minor roles are played by A-list, like, at least past A-listers.
Yeah, and what's his name? Josh Hartnett played this professor called Florence.
I thought he did fantastic.
Yeah, because I've never seen Josh Hartnett do such a serious role, and he just nailed it. He was so good at this.
No, he also played. Yeah, I guess so. Like, because in the past he was a sweetheart role.
Yeah, like romantic comedies. No, and
but
stuff.
I think his like his capacity has increased in recent years, though, and he was a great actor. I mean, and everyone was great. You know, my favorite was Emily Blunt.
Oh. I was thinking the exact same thing in my head right now. I was gonna say if I have to choose the best one, it was gonna be Emily Blunt.
Yeah, because you know, the length of this movie does help in the fact that I did feel sympathy for every character though. Because in the middle, when Emily Blunt was giving like Cillian Murphy shit, I was like, man, like. Married men must be watching this with like trauma right now. Like, fuck, that happened to my parents too. But you know, like everyone is flawed. Everyone is a little bit flawed, and especially Oppenheimer, because I did feel like he is one of those dark heroes.
Yeah,
at least portrayed in the film.
Yeah, and it's not like his career is sugar coated in the movie.
Yeah, and I mean, he does cheat, like womanizing, and his marriage doesn't seem to be a happy one, but it is a very I mean, but the funny thing is Albert Einstein had that. So, but another shocking thing is, I'm gonna sound stupid, but this movie is really about Oppenheimer, not the Manhattan Project.
Yeah,
Manhattan Project plays a big role, but it really is a super biopic.
It's like the first half of the movie, the Manhattan Project. The latter half deals with something different. And when I was watching this movie, as the movie headed towards the second half, I got a lot of resemblance of the movie Contact. You know, the one with Jodie Foster. You know, like half the movie is about traveling space, but the latter half is like it throws a philosophical question at the audience because she's at a hearing, trying to prove that what she experienced was real and blah 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 blah. So it reminded me a lot of Contact.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that it's a two-parter. Like up to the 2-hour mark or 1 hour and 50, it's about the Manhattan Project. But the movie stayed longer too, because the aftermath is another like horror drama. Suddenly, like the funny thing is, like, the first 2 hours didn't feel like a Nolan movie to me. It felt the most emotionally charged. You know how, like, some of his movies, I don't feel like the character is human? Almost they're, like, there to, like, spout out exposition.
Yeah.
I love the fact that in the first 2 hours, they didn't have that. It was really natural
Mm-hmm.
until after it becomes the hearing of Oppenheimer. They suddenly talk about exposition like Nolan did again. I was like, oh man, he's trying to pack everything in. So that happened. But the first 2 hours was amazing for me because it was such an emotional. Like, I almost felt like it was like a personal movie for the director. Just my interpretation, I could be wrong. In that, you know, like, Oppenheimer is so humanized. And, like, because every camera is always on him.
Yeah.
Almost. And
Cillian Murphy did an amazing job. Yeah. Because I think he's Irish. Yeah, it should be Cillian.
He plays this person that is not in an arrogant way, but couldn't be bothered about your human problems. His mind is always on something else. And there are like he owes a lot to, I feel like, Stanley Kubrick and stuff, because like the visual like feast he has, like those are really unique.
Yeah.
I felt like I love that the first 2 hours especially had a lot of that because you didn't need dialogue. You could you know, when people are talking about, like, we can see him visualizing what they're talking about in his head. I guess he has one of those brain, you know, like he can always visualize what other people are saying. He has a great imagination.
A genius brain.
Yeah, and it's terrifying and beautiful at the same time. And I think I love the 2 hour mark because it climaxes to the explosion. Because there were hints of that.
Yeah.
Like all the visuals are like. It's almost like, you know, it was almost like a dream that he's having now becoming a reality. And that's a hint, like a foreshadowing of that. And I thought that was done really well. And then after 2 hours, it becomes this Robert Downey Jr. versus, like, like, what did you think about the latter hour?
It was a good movie, but I wouldn't say that this was Nolan's strongest, in my personal opinion. And the reason is because of this. Now, the movie, like you said, is a biopic, and it deals with Oppenheimer and his, it deals with Oppenheimer in the times of the war when he was in the Manhattan Project and so on. But the movie just has this very, very sudden shift to this conflict between Strauss and, what's his name, Oppenheimer. So I thought that was too abrupt. I mean, I don't know. Mr. Nolan probably had a better idea, but as an audience, what I felt was that it kind of feels like it's shrinking the overall conflict of the movie into like this Robert Downey Jr. versus Cillian Murphy kind of frame.
Well, I think that was like, it was trying to frame this, like, you know, I have become death, but look on my work in despair. It's just like, because, like, up to the 2 hour mark, Oppenheimer is portrayed as very conflicted individual. He's full of paradoxes. Like, he wants to make the bomb, but he also have these, you know, sort of a, let's say, ruminating style, maybe some depression, but he's also very inspired. This man himself is already a very complicated one. But at the end of the day, though, like, I felt like that scene when he becomes Mr. Atomic Bomb and he goes through the speech, there's already, because it's showing like one man's conflict against the world.
And I love the sound engineering in that scene. You know, like when people's cheer eventually sound like a scream.
This movie, like for me, has the best sound effect and soundtrack out of all Nolan movies. I was so happy to not hear Hans Zimmer's like, no offense to that. Yeah, there's a time and a place for it, but I was so glad that the music was like Oppenheimer himself, a little sad, a little epic, but also a little sad, and I like that. And the tense moments were like not forced. Like, you know how Nolan, the camera changes to different people, like this dramatic stuff. Like, I love how it's like it wasn't exaggerated in that part.
Yeah.
It was very human. And I like the best part is when 007 villain comes up and he turns out he's on the side of Oppenheimer. Like, cause you know there were two scenes where he's kind of disrespected by Oppenheimer, but Oppenheimer doesn't mean malice towards him, but he could be considered rude, and a petty person could have like talked shit about Oppenheimer, but he actually steps up in defense because like he sees the Oppenheimer side that we as an audience also see.
Yeah.
Because even before the bomb, he has reservations about it. You know, he's the one that's leading the project, but weirdly, to the annoyance of like a Strauss and perhaps Matt Damon, he's also weirdly the one against it inside too, and it's portrayed really well. So I did feel like the last 1 hour was trying to show that, you know, he unleashed something he cannot control.
Yeah. And
there is this theme of what can one man do? Like, what are his principles? What are his beliefs? And then we already saw that he's also a flawed human being, but that doesn't. I felt like the movie was saying that doesn't, you know, like make his like arguments about nuclear control worse.
Yeah,
and it was it was terrifying in the fact that at the end, like he's looking at the camera. Man, this is fucked up. Like we already saw. Like this is not a happy ending. It was like I unleashed the monster, but I'm gonna live with the guilt of it. You know?
And after watching this movie, I said it's not the strongest Nolan movie, but I feel that he's taking a different approach with his work. And although this is not the strongest Nolan film, in my opinion, I would say that this is his best personal epic. Because I think his other movies, yes, there was some character arc with all the characters and everything, but it was not as intimate as this one.
Yeah, I would say this one is like, for me, a complete opposite of the one with the Denzel Washington son. What was it? The one where time goes backwards. And
Tenet.
Yeah,
Tenet.
Tenet felt the most impersonal for me. I didn't know like these characters.
Yeah, that was a very difficult movie.
I mean, I'm sure I'm not knocking that movie. It's just different. But this one is like the complete opposite in that.
Yeah.
I'm totally embedded in this man's life, and it was great. And this movie also, I think, completes Matt Damon's goal to play every military position in the U.S. Army, because now he's a general, and he played the general really well. And hats off to a lot of minor characters. I like Cassie Affleck in here.
Oh, Casey Affleck, yeah. Very, very intimidating in the scenes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He played it so well. I mean, of course.
I love the way he asked the questions to Oppenheimer.
He played that sinister, like torturer role really well. Hats off to that too. And back to Emily Blunt, like she plays that era's woman really well. I think. You know, because I hated her, like, you know, that communist sympathizer who was in Game of Thrones and he got killed in the first season, but now he's in a Nolan movie.
Hold on, which one is that?
The guy who like Oppenheimer like gets his kiss to when
okay, I remember him now. Okay. Yes.
Post birth depression, because that's post.
Yeah.
That's definitely that. So like there were a lot of I like how she plays that woman role really well. Oh, I also get to see Judge Dredd's apprentice, brief appearance. Like, I wish there were more scenes with her. Yeah. I feel like a lot of the scenes probably are in the cutting room floor, because this 3 hours was tight. I mean, it was really long, but I never felt it was. I mean, okay, I definitely felt it was 3 hours. Yeah. But it was never boring. I felt it was 3 hours. I was like, oh, thank God, I can't go to the bathroom a second time.
You can feel the time pass you by.
Yeah. Yeah. But really, you know what was beautiful too is it was the most subtle of the Nolan movies too. Like, because of the things we talked about. And
I think this is why the audience is going to have like a divided reaction to this. You know, like for former, I mean, people who understand Nolan's work and people who enjoy Nolan's work will probably give this a more favorable light. But yeah, but like people who just walk into a theater and decide, okay, maybe I'll watch Oppenheimer, I think might be bored. They might lose themselves in the movie, but not in a good way, because I don't think it's exactly like a kind movie in the way it tells the story.
I mean, I think the word you're looking for, it's not a light movie.
Yeah, and you have to basically, even while watching the movie, you have to like use your brain to figure out what's going on, and that happens for like an entire 3-hour runtime. So yes, some people will find it interesting and blah blah blah, but this lacks the visual fascination that his other movies had, like Tenet or Interstellar. Yes, they were also quite long, and they had some very
No, but I think like this one
details.
Was, like in dialogue-wise, it's not easy to follow.
Yeah.
This what they're talking about is difficult because the audio sucks. I didn't know what I gotta be honest. Like I didn't know what the hell they were talking about sometimes. Like I love Matt Damon's character because he was clear as fuck.
He's a soldier.
Yeah. Dry clean this. Wait a minute. There's a chance. How about 0, motherfucker? And then I love even the test. Okay, what to do next? Okay, I should have been there, right? Like that was a great role. Oh, and Robert Downey Jr. delivers his line really well.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know what it is. It's just like since Tenet, like. I can't hear them.
Well, I think it's not just audio. I think it's because Cillian Murphy was trying to revive. I mean, how can I say this? He was trying to speak in the way the real Oppenheimer spoke, because he kind of sounds like he's mumbling. I think that's the problem.
Okay. No, but he's fine. Like some of the other ones I didn't get. Like when they were all grouped up and talking so fast, I was like, whoa. And I also like that weird, like, Hungarian dude. Like, that guy who's like, oh, what hydrogen? And I was like, yeah, he is imagination. They make hydrogen bombs, man. I like that character. But, I also love Black Widow. Like her suicide.
Well, not Black Widow's sister.
Oh, yeah. Isn't she the future Black Widow now?
I'm not sure.
Okay. But you know who we're talking about. Like, she was great, like,
oh, we're gonna see her in Dune very soon.
Oh yeah, as Emperor's daughter. But the suicide scene was filmed really well.
Yeah.
Like one of the. Even if we don't see her, like we see glimpse of it, it was terrifying. And like the. Oh yeah, because I like that. I love the fact that Oppenheimer is such an emotional dude. He's. Oh, and another hidden gem is Truman. He's portrayed.
Oh yes.
Piece of shit.
But I mean. Not just a piece of shit, but from history we know that he also lived with a lot of guilt.
Yeah.
The story is there's a father who sent his son to the Korean War, ended up dead, and then the country sent the father like a medal and a letter, and the father sent them back to Truman as basically like a fuck you. So the story is he kept that in his Oval Office desk. Throughout his entire entire term.
Truman, the real life Truman is a complicated
character.
But and the people didn't think he would be a great leader too. But he proved them a little bit wrong, I think. But the thing is, in the movie though, like I don't know if it's Dracula playing him, but he comes off as such a piece of shit.
Well, I kind of understood him because you just made a decision to massacre hundreds of thousands of civilians, and then this dude comes up who didn't even call the shot, crying about it. I would feel the same way.
Yeah, the line was great, but I felt like
yeah, the blood is on my hands, bitch. Shut the fuck up.
No, but I felt like it could have been acted where we do feel a little bit more like empathy toward Truman, because I think that what actually Truman said wasn't like crybaby. He said, I think. After Oppenheimer leaves the room, he says something along the line of, "I don't ever want to see that little pussy again," something like that to his.
Yeah, but to be fair, he's a World War I veteran. We have to remember that, and like World War I veterans, like the famous ones, Douglas MacArthur, George Patton. I mean, this is the way these guys spoke.
That's true.
Yeah.
And we will have a chance to talk about those guys too. But anyway, at least I felt like in the movie, Truman was a little bit portrayed unsympathetically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess, like, you know, I mean, it's up to everybody to judge, right?
Yeah, maybe it's a politician thing as well.
Yeah, yeah. But because this movie was definitely about Oppenheimer. So, but I was shocked to see him because when Dracula and Leon's killer came up, I was like, damn, this movie is like who's who of Hollywood. Like, how many A-listers are here? You know, the funny thing is, I bet these dudes just called Nolan and says, please, just cast me on everything. I bet it goes on like that.
I'm pretty sure you can find me a role.
Yeah, because I can't imagine Nolan like sitting everybody as casting director and everybody down and say, I want every famous celebrity. I can't imagine that. I can imagine him choosing the important roles. Yeah. But the other ones, I bet it's just like
like any volunteers.
Yeah. Or who did I use next? Because a lot of these casts were in his older movies.
Yeah, we see a lot of them. You know, like the mute guy from Dark Knight, and also the ones from Interstellar. Yeah. A lot of these guys, we've seen them before.
Yeah, and Emily Blunt and Robert Downey Jr. is still, and of course Cillian Murphy. Those are the top three because I think as actors they got to show us a different dimension that we haven't seen before. Yeah, like Robert Downey Jr. was especially shocking for me, not for the level of performance. They all did a great performance, but he played this like statesman really well. Yeah, he had gravitas, and he was really scary at the last part too. Yeah, I mean that's a real life thing. There is this debate on who's the villain between those two, like Oppenheimer and him. But this movie definitely favors Oppenheimer.
Because remember, the movie's called Oppenheimer, not Strauss.
I think Oppenheimer is loved by artists because he himself is sort of has an artist heart, quoting the Gita. And I mean, but think about it, the ego to compare yourself to. He talks almost like he's Arjuna in the Gita. Like Krishna's like, oh, Krishna, I don't know if I can kill all my cousins because there's these two factions basically. But Krishna's like, no, it's okay, kill them all. Like, it's funny how the Gita is interpreted by everybody a little bit different. But Arjuna just wipes them out, and he's basically saying, I don't know. But you could argue that because the general is like first like. Background briefing on him was correct. You're a womanizer, delante, egotistical, maniacal, blah, 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 blah.
And Emily Blunt, before watching this movie, if you haven't seen her performance in, what was it? The Looper. I strongly recommend people to watch it because I see like a coherence in the way she evolves from like that assistant in The Devil Wears Prada to The Looper, and then what's it called? The one where Tom Cruise like repeats the day over and over. The Edge of Tomorrow. Yeah, and then this.
No, she has a diverse range here.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I'm allowed to say she plays a little bit of a hysterical woman, just like Cillian Murphy is a man of that time. Because you can tell his children. I mean. I don't know if okay, let's not go into that. I didn't get the sense that he was a great family man, to be honest. And and I do feel like because the last moment's time jump was a little jarring too, though, when he gets like white haired and like because I guess near the end, like Einstein had a great line here. You have to live with your work now, and like by the way, that Einstein guy, he played that prisoner dude in Dark Knight Rises. He's the one.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he's the one that tells jump. Yeah.
Oh, when Bane makes his escape.
Yeah, he's the one that helps him with the bag.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think he's a famous European actor because he's there. Yes, jump, but he didn't make the jump. He played that wisdom old man really well. But anyway. At least the movie gave us a lot to talk about. Yeah. And, like, for me, after Dark Knight Rises, and maybe Interstellar even, like, I did have like a little falling out with Nolan. Sometimes I feel like they were maybe a little too analytical.
And
this one,
that's true.
And the war one too, that was okay. That was great.
The Tenet was a big hit for me. A big hit in my head. Okay. Yeah, it was really difficult to watch that movie. I was exhausted after watching that.
I mean, it was being like hidden.
Yeah.
But this movie, I think you said it like it's like a Nolan 2.0 maybe. Maybe from now on we will see more of this vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's so funny though? Why do all these famous directors always want to do a biopic like near the end of their career? Remember like Kubrick wanted to do Napoleon?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. And we now see what's his name?
Yeah, Ridley Scott.
Yeah, Ridley Scott finishing up Napoleon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like as you grow older, you get to look back on your own career and you get to see like you get interested in people who live the very like colorful life. Or
I think it's because they're getting old and they kind of lose inhibition. And since they're working on a biopic, I mean, there's gotta be a lot of criticism because of your interpretation of the person. But as you grow older, I think they just don't care. But Nolan's still young.
No, but this movie definitely could only be made by Nolan in the sense that I don't think if somebody did this, like a nobody director proposed this to the studio, they would say no. But you know, who gets to actually get?
Yeah, they will probably tell the director to go to History Channel.
Yeah, like a documentary, no? Like, how am I supposed to make money out of this? You know, with this one, this one was, but it was a pleasant surprise. And you know the funny thing is, it is a traditional like hero story though. You know, because we have this dark man who almost tries to poison his professor, which is a true story, by the way. And then he climaxes to the Manhattan, but then there's the fall to grace, and there is some redemption. It's really about him, though.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like Einstein's lesson to him was like, you know, Einstein is like having fun in the pond. It's like you're gonna live like this too, and it's up to you to live your life afterwards. But anyway, let's give a number grade now.
I would give it an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
Yeah, 8 out of 10. I mean, there were parts that was kind of loose for me, and I almost fell asleep. But I am still willing to watch it again because it is so packed with dialogues, and I'm pretty sure there are a lot of details that I missed. So I think it's like it's gonna be worth watching over and over again. But with Tenet, that would be impossible. Not impossible, but more difficult because the movie had too much. But with this, I think I will have fun watching it again. So I would give it an 8.
I would give it an 8 too, because I feel like if it was Tarantino, it would be a 2-parter. Ending at the launch, just like, you know, the bride killing Orin Rishi, and if it's Dune, I'll make it a part 2, because I feel like the court drama could almost be its own movie though. Like
that's
there's
true.
a rise, and then the part 2 can be a fall. You know, but I guess that's not Nolan's style. And I respect, like editing wise. At least for the first 2 hours, I felt it was the best ever from Nolan. It was so smooth for me, like every transition, because this movie is enormous. There were so many people, up to the 2-hour point, right up to the bomb, and then like the short aftermath. I thought the editing was fantastic, and then exhibition like fast speech happens, and then that ruined it for me.
Yeah,
it didn't feel human.
Oh, and by the way, that moment when the Trinity, the nuclear bomb goes off, that was done really well because we first see the flash, and then the sound comes later. That was a good touch, and I'm pretty sure that was what actually happened, but not as long a delay.
Yeah, and I like how they don't actually show what happens to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Because it was more terrifying from the audio. Because you can hear it in Oppenheimer's head.
Yeah.
And then we see some images of the face burning
and like a charred corpse.
Yeah, because I almost feel like that was more terrifying. It made it more terrifying.
And it makes sense because Oppenheimer himself didn't get to see it.
Well, there were photos later. Right?
Yeah.
Like, we've seen all the famous photos of the aftermath. But anyway, that is our take on Oppenheimer.
Mm-hmm.
If you have not watched it, please watch it in theater. By the way, I think the quality, justifies a visit to the theater.
Yeah, and maybe should I be saying this? Yes, it is filmed on IMAX camera, but after watching it, I don't think it's absolutely necessary to watch it in IMAX. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean,
Interstellar, yes.
No, let me say
Tenet,
this.
yes,
Yeah.
but this not necessarily.
I would say this: visually, it's beautiful, but is it a visual feast? No. Like the main points aren't those. Like even the tension aren't built from grand scenes anyway.
Yeah.
It's all the people and like set pieces that are done really well. So, but still, just for like some of the scenes alone, it's worth it. I feel like. And Cillian Murphy, I think he'll be nominated for Oscar. I don't know if he'll win.
We'll have to see. We still have a few
that's
movies.
Our take, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, our 22nd subscriber, whoever you are, wherever you are.
Oh, that's right. We have 22 strong subscribers now.
Guys, we see our video traffic we have high retention. Don't be shy and press like. That helps us a lot. And we will come up with our logo very soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Joe Jin Movie So Awesome. I was Joe.
I was Won-Jin.
We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.